Okay, so former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Rashard Mendenhall was a guest on the Pivot podcast operated by Fred Taylor, Ryan Clark, and Channing Crowder. And Mendenhall has been in the news as of late for his racially divisive comments he made on Twitter about a potential racial Pro Bowl and the fact that he did not like white commentators trying to teach him who's good at football. Anyways, this recent podcast that's up on Pivot's YouTube channel made me look at Rashard Mendenhall in a different light. This interview kind of gets deep and personal, and it's broken into two parts. The first part being his reason for the tweet he posted, and the second part is where the running back addressed RC about the comments he made about him back in 2017 regarding his fumble and Super Bowl 45 and how it affected him. And you could see it clearly had a profound effect on him because it was in a way a part of all the hate he was receiving on social media prior to his tweet. In Super Bowl 45, Rashard made a costly fumble early in the fourth quarter when the Steelers were trailing by 4 points, and because of that, many fans over the years have blamed him for that Super Bowl loss. Anyways, have a listen to what he had to say on this podcast.
It's how I've been treated and what's happened since that I don't feel like it's fair. And I finally had enough.
So when you say you're reminded of it, is it people tweeting you, people messaging you? Who's reminding you of it?
It's under my name. Like in life now, in Google, like your brand, your name is your business. And to my name, whatever hashtags, whatever stuff that's associated, I got to check my business. It's just like I'm seeing the same word, like fumble. Do you know what I'm saying? Or even people mentioning me at me. That's why I said comments in the thing. I know it's just like, all right, this ain't no joke, man. This ain't about the football. When somebody's saying like fumble to me, I know they're intentionally trying to hurt me. They're intentionally trying to pick at me, a pride. And so if somebody say fumble, like, all right, I'm like automatically ready to fight. The fuck are you talking about? What are we talking about this for? We left that game and it's supposed to be over. But if it's not, all right, I got to live in this. So like, I fucking 12 years later, I might have a little attitude about it. I didn't even envision a game. I was only envisioning the same person that keeps speaking at me, that I'm like, what will it take to make you stop? Like, what will it take to make you stop? If like, all right, if the black team beat y'all dead, could you at least stop adding me and tweeting me and saying, I'm sorry, I'm trash? Can I then be on the winning team? And then can I be on the winning team?
The fumble still will be there.
It's like just this feeling, the fumble is cool. I'm cool with that. It's just like this idea that I'm an entire loser because of it. That's what that's what.
But we lose when we let them win. And that means whether it's me, whether it's the average white guy who's tweeting you because he's sitting at his house or he's sitting at his desk or he's sitting with his wife or wherever he is, and he's not catching the vitriol you're catching for that tweet. I know you, right?
Yeah.
I know your wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know that this man that's speaking is not racist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I also know in reading that tweet, it's a racist tweet. Right?
It's a racial. I don't know if it's racist.
Racist, right? Racism is believing that you are inferior to another race based on your skin color. Your tweet was the skin color of the more superior athlete is darker. If a white player said that, I would get after him. I would, right? Yeah. But it's the history of oppression. In the same way, I talked to Chris Long about it, obviously Will Compton. Yeah. None of them had that attachment to it because they understood the history of this country. But from you, in saying it that way, I felt like it did detract from what your point is now, right? And then what I hated the most about it, but was probably the good thing, it turned it into a joke, and I don't want you to be a joke. The way that people are attacking you about that particular situation, because it was the broadness of your tweet that I believe drew a certain ire to what you said. Yeah. And then this point, which we hope to get out on this show, was totally missed.
That wasn't meant for everybody. It went there, and I wasn't tripping on that. That was meant for my detractors. Like the amount of disrespect, it was meant for that. Before I keep going, this is from me to you. This was a few years ago. You were on a talk show. This was probably like 2017. And you said something that it seemed like it was in the cause and course of the show that had an effect that greater than I think you may have realized, because I'm in the center of this. where you were in an argument about the Steelers in that game, and you said, we know what happened. Mendenhall lost the game, and you kept going. Mendenhall fumbled the ball, and he lost the game. Something along those lines, and you kept going. And it's like, I know you on there, and you doing TV and playing TV, but it felt like you saying that had a real football ramification, because before then, there was just fans and people being like, oh, you know, he did that, but then they started saying even his teammates believe that he lost the game, and that shit ratcheted up. And like, we ain't never had no problems for real, but that's the one thing I had to bring today cause I carried that. And I watched the turn from people starting to say even his teammates believe that he lost the game. And your comment was a way to.
Well, I'll say this. I certainly believe that's a part of why we lost the game. I don't believe that one play loses the game. I believe that if I catch the interception that I planned for 2 weeks when Greg Jennings scores a touchdown, that helps us win the game. Yeah. I believe if I lock Keenan Lewis on the backside when Greg Jennings catches the ball on third down, that we win the game. So there are definitely there are plays in that game that I replay all the time, that I've used as film and as assets for my show inside the NFL. So, but I will say this, if it had that effect on you, I don't remember the moment, but if it had that effect on you, I'm sorry. And especially if it had that effect where people continued to attack you. And like in honesty, from a defensive perspective, do I feel like at that point, with the way you were playing the game, with the way the defense was playing the game, if we don't fumble there, we win? Absolutely. I do feel that way. I could look you in your eye and say that one play didn't lose the game. Most times one play does not lose the game. So I do apologize how that affected you, and especially if what I said made other people treat you a certain way. Because that's definitely not something I want to do. So I do apologize.
I appreciate you apologizing, and I appreciate what you said, for real. And it's, you know, that's just a blip on your radar that made the noose tighter, like,
gotcha.
For real. Damn. And for me, it's just like, how many times I'm gonna wake up and take this like I wasn't born no hoe.
Okay, first off, I want to mention this. Rashard Mendenhall is a former first-round pick, Super Bowl champion, and had a 6-year career in the NFL where he accumulated over 4,000 yards and scored 37 times on the ground, so it's nothing to shit on. Yet it appears his name for the last decade has been associated with that fumble, and he mentions that in this podcast. He's been constantly reminded of that one play that potentially cost the Steelers a championship, and I kind of feel on the fence about this. On one hand, it's social media and just a bunch of trolls, and he probably could have stayed off the apps, and on top of that, his recent tweet didn't really help his situation as it just added more attention to his name. And we all know how many people responded to his tweet attacking him from that one play from over a decade ago, so he didn't do himself any favors here. And even if he didn't fumble on that play, who's to say the Steelers score on that drive? Maybe the Packers punt the ball and nothing changes. Let me remind you that this was 2011 MVP Aaron Rodgers he was facing. On top of that, Mendenhall was an important player on that Steelers team that made the Super Bowl. He had that huge game in the AFC Championship game against the Giants where he ran for $121 and scored a TD in a close game. The only thing I can criticize him for from this interview is that I don't really understand his reasoning for making that tweet. He alluded to the fact that he only tweeted what he did because he thought that if he was on the all-black team and that if they won, trolls would all of a sudden stop messaging him. I don't think he understands that not all his trolls are white fans. I'm sure there were many other black Steelers fans who felt the same way and were attacking him, so that's why I didn't really understand what he was thinking with that thought process. In any event, I think he's been going through a lot recently with all these attacks. It definitely sucks that he's been at the center of this for something that happened in 2011, but I think he just probably needs to lay off on social media if these comments are really getting to him, which apparently they are. I don't think most fans realize what the type of comments he sees on a daily basis. It's hard to picture yourself and put yourself in his shoes and scroll through all the messages that keep reminding him of that one play. Anyways, I think RC did a good job calling him out for that tweet and painting a clearer picture to him at how divisive that tweet really was. I personally had no issues with that tweet, and it brought out an interesting situation on an all-black versus all-white team, but I totally understand how other people would have taken offense. That said, I did make a few videos about Mendenhall's tweet last week and was a little bit critical of him, but I kinda understand how he feels and hope he's able to overcome all the negativity he's been receiving. He seems to have been carrying this huge weight over his shoulders, and I hope he's able to let that go. One play from a single game should never define yourself as a human being. Anyways, check out that full interview, I'll link it in the description box below. It's a pretty good watch to see the other side of athletes from a human standpoint.